Okay, good evening, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. Can we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll open the meeting up to public comment, and just remember, public comment on the front end is for agenda items only. If you do have a comment, state your name, and then we'll entertain whatever you have to say. So right now, we'll open up to public comment for agenda items only. Okay, we'll close public comment. And tonight we have a few special presentations. The first one's going to be our leader of the pack. So we'll start off with the elementary school.
Go get him, Miss Samuel. Come on. Go get him.
So we're here with Luke Isaac Apoko. He's a kindergarten student from Mrs. Hollyfield and Mrs. Hodgebla's class. And he's our leader of the pack for April because I'm going to read off some wonderful things that teachers said about you. Okay, I'll start with your classroom teachers. He is a wonderful and very special student. He's incredibly respectful and he impresses me with his manners. He is polite, kind, and caring to his teachers and friends. Luke Isaac always follows directions and he makes excellent choices in kindergarten. He is a conscientious student and he always tries his best. He works so hard all day and every day. Luke Isaac is always there to lend a hand to others. He loves to help and he's supportive to everyone. He has kind words to say to his friends and he truly cares. Luke Isaac is a strong leader and is so deserving of this award, and that's why he's our leader of the pack. I'm just going to read a few things also from Coach S. He said, Luke Isaac is a tremendous student in physical education. That means gym. Okay? He is always respectful and cooperates well with his classmates. Ms. Hughes, our STEAM teacher, said, Luke Isaac is a very determined child who works well with others. He's the first one to follow directions and he models for his peers. For all these reasons and more, you, Luke Isaac, are our leader of the pack. Congratulations.
So from Highland Middle School, we have our leader of the pack for the month of April, 6th grader Mason Duvall. So his teachers had a lot of amazing things to say about him, so I'll read a few now, and then we'll go from there. So Mrs. Ozzie said she loves how genuine and how dedicated you are. Mason, I guess, brought in some avocado pits, and she was really thrilled with him, his initiative to want to plant an avocado in middle school. So she thought that was really cool. Mrs. Monteperto said Mason is an enthusiastic student who's eager to learn. He's extremely hardworking and is always willing to participate. Mrs. McGrath said Mason is a leader in our class. He is the go-to guy, and I value his input during our many conversations. Mrs. Curlis said he's kind and polite to everyone. He balances his social and academic life extremely well, and he is a leader of the pack for sure. Lastly, Mrs. Halveston said Mason arrives to class every day ready to learn with a positive attitude. He is consistently a hard worker who wants to do well. Mason is able to work with any other student in the class and is always polite and respectful to others. He is an excellent role model for other students, and with these amazing qualities, he is an amazing leader of the pack. So congratulations, Mason.
evening, everybody, families of the other leaders of the pack and students. Congratulations, it's a great honor. Tonight, I introduced Riley Klein at the high school. I've only been here for about a month and a half, and I'm gonna be honest, when we called her down, I thought she was a 12th grader, just by the way she carries herself and the things that she's doing that are very impactful in a positive way in her school. So that's my little tidbit. I have her teachers and coaches here that I'm going to read some nice things about you, Riley. Mr. I says that she's an absolute charm in class. She regularly goes above and beyond. Her projects are beautifully designed and show a real mastery of the material and curiosity to take things an extra step. Ms. Petrosov says Riley Klein has an exclamation point at the end of her name. As a dedicated member of multiple extracurricular activities, she sets the tone for leadership, perseverance in the high school. While her grades undoubtedly impress, they fail to indicate the enthusiastic way in which Riley engages in each of her assignments. She never settles, but she strives to showcase the very best of herself at all times. Between her determination, her passion for environmental causes, Riley is an absolute destined for success. That was from Miss P. Coach Lawback, girls varsity track team. Riley's on the varsity track team. She has a great attitude, always smiling, and hard work ethic. She will do exactly what is asked of her and help her teammates in any way she can. Ms. Ferrero says Riley's a go-getter. She's incredibly driven, hardworking, and always up to a challenge. She is part of the World Languages Club and is always volunteering to help with all fundraisers and events. She will also be participating on Foreign Language Night. Riley's an asset in class and for the high school in general. Dr. Scrow says Riley's an exemplar student that demonstrates a strong curiosity for learning. She is enthusiastic and fully engaged in the learning process and demonstrates a willingness to discuss course content in a greater detail. She is a leader among her peers, an asset to the class, both personally and academically. Mr. Rinaldi says she checks all the boxes as a high school student. She's hardworking, conscious. She participates and adds to class discussions on a regular basis. She brings a positive smile, as you guys can see right here, to each class every day. Riley is active in Model UN, and as Mr. Rinaldi states, that his list can go on and on. Overall, she's fantastic and an even better young person. We're fortunate to have her in our school. Coach Geller says in PE class, she's fun to work with, comes to class ready for whatever games or challenges we have for that day. She's reliable, independent, and she can always look forward to having her in class. So, Riley Klein, everybody.
Again, on behalf of the Board of Education, congratulations to our leaders of the pack. Your hard work and determination got you selected, so congratulations. Okay, yeah. For all those that would like to leave right now, I know you have schoolwork and gotta get some rest for a hard day tomorrow, you can leave. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Congratulations to all the families.
Congratulations,
Yes.
Okay, our next presentation will be our budget development and presentation.
Okay, hello and welcome to our fifth budget presentation for the 23-24 school year. Tonight is going to be a review of the last board meeting's presentation with the addition of the contingency budget implications. So since we have not heard about the adoption of the legislative budget. We will continue with our first estimate for our state aid. And last meeting, it was concluded that we will continue with the 1.15 million of fund balance, leaving our estimated budget at 52,476,480. And once again, this slide reviews the expenses for the 23-24 school year with our expected increases in each section, our highest increases being in the instruction area and employee benefits. So now we go on to our contingency budget. So if the proposed budget fails, we can go up again for a second time with the budget, but after that, a contingency budget must be adopted. So under contingency, the tax levy cannot be increased from prior year. So this amount, the 1,277,290, if we go back to this slide, is the increase of our proposed tax levy. So that's what will have to be cut out of the budget. So no equipment purchases are allowed during that, which means that budgeted currently for the 23-24 school year, we have $202,075, but the additional reduction of $1,075,015 would need to be identified in order to lower the budget for contingency budget. No non-essential maintenance would be allowed. No community use of school facilities without charging a fee would be allowed. So that means use of our cafeteria, use of our fields, use of our auditorium and such would need to have a fee. So currently, this is a good thing, our revenues match our expenses, so this leads us to be able to adopt the budget. What is happening tomorrow is that the submission of the property tax report card will happen after tonight's approval. And this is a comparison of last year's fund balance to this year. And so you'll see that there is a reduction going into 23-24. That is due to the transfer of the capital reserves, which is going to fund our capital project. Other projections in here also include an increase in some of the other reserves and carryover encumbrances. So carryover encumbrances are for goods and services that happen in the prior year, so that happen in June, but we don't pay for them until July, so they are carried over into the next year. Some of those reserves that we have projected. So currently, we're projecting about $720,000 going into reserves. Obviously, this is April. A lot can happen between now and the end of June with fluctuations in closing of accounts. So in this 720, I went by the guidance of what the auditors told us back in the summer, breaking that up into $300 in the capital reserve, $120 in employee benefits accrued liability, and $150 in both ERS and TRS reserves. So what do we need to do after tonight? So we can react to the legislative budget, which should be approved on Thursday. If it is and it fluctuates, we could have an increase by offsetting fund balance, a decrease would mean cuts, or we can go with our projection that we can adopt tonight. If we decide to do something else, we would need to call a special meeting to adopt the budget at that point in time. But for right now, our revenues match our expenses, so we're in good shape to adopt the budget. Items of continued review, I will be working with Patrick, Dr. Boyd on special education placements, which are still being finalized, so that may cause transfers in the 23-24 school year. What still needs to be done for this budget is filing the property tax report card, which will go in tomorrow after it's adopted tonight, district mailings, the budget statement development, and the facilitation of the budget vote meeting. And finally, these are the two propositions that we will be adopting tonight. Proposition 1 is the school budget, which is $52,476,480. And Proposition 2 is for the school buses, which is $266,756. And that is, we're finally at the end of our budget calendar now with our next meeting, which will be the budget hearing, which will be May 2nd. Does anybody have any questions?
I think the only comment I want to make, because Proposition 1 is a simple majority vote, right? 50 plus 1. So, you know, we don't want to entertain contingency per se. It's a simple majority budget. It falls within the 2% cap. Obviously, that's what qualifies it. And I just wanted to make that point very clear.
Is everyone okay moving forward this evening to adopt the budget? Like Lindsay said, we're hoping that the state comes through on Thursday, I believe, right now. Is it,
As of right now, it's the 20th.
So if we're all okay, we'll move forward this evening and adopt the budget.
I'm comfortable with that. You know, it's not the norm for this board to move budget to budget of this magnitude, but we are getting the additional aid that speaks to that. Those things have been allocated, and we're dealing with the higher cost of expenses. So,
And I believe we already approved Proposition 2.
correct.
Yes. This
So
is just
we'll
what
just
will
be
be shown on
approving
the
Proposition
ballot.
1 tonight, the general budget.
Lindsay, thank you to you and your office for all the hard work getting us to this point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Our final presentation this evening is going to be an update for the board and the general public regards to our current capital project that's moving forward. So we have a presentation this evening from our design team and our management team, CS Arch and the Colombo Group. So if you guys would like to come in and
Good evening, guys. How we doing? Good.
So good evening, my name is Deion Miller, I'm a project architect at CS Arch. With me, I have Tom Ritzenfeller from CS Arch, he's an executive principal of CS Arch. I have Scott Butler and Luis Rodriguez from the Palumbo Group, who are the construction managers. We're gonna give an update on the capital project, where it stands right now. So on the screen is kind of an update of what our planned schedule was for the capital project. So the board put up the bond vote, and it passed in October of 2022. The intent was to submit in 2 phases, phase 1 going in January, at the end of January 2023, and then phase 2 going to SED at the end of June. As of right now, we submitted to submitted to SED January 30th, and it's currently in the review process. The intent originally was to start construction this summer on some of that phase 1 stuff. We're still moving ahead and submitting to SED for phase 2 in June, with the original plan to start some construction for phase 2 in 2024. So when we submitted to the SED, the State Education Department, in January, we anticipated there was about a 3-month review time for the project. At that point, there was about 8 to 10 weeks for a project to review and be turned around from SED. As of Thursday, this past Thursday, they update this on a weekly schedule. They are now about 12 to 14 weeks for a review time, and currently reviewing a project that's about 90 projects ahead of phase 1 for architectural review, and about 270 projects ahead of us for mechanical, electrical, plumbing, engineering review. So on average, they've been doing it somewhere between 20 to 30 reviews a week. But then more recently, it's kind of been all over the place. Last week they did 70, the week before they did 20. So right now we're looking at anticipated that we're not getting approval for phase 1 until June.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So everyone understands what's happening. Of course, SCD has been inundated with
projects that have taken priority in their office were both the CRISA and the ARPA funding. And those have been given priority because they're on a deadline with the federal government, not just the state mandates. So, you know, as much as the review queue may say 8 to 10 or 10 to 12 weeks, that doesn't really take into account that some of those projects are jumping the queue because they're related to the federal funded projects. And so it's clear that those are taking precedent, those are jumping ahead of ours, and ours is lagging, as well as other districts, of course. And we're kind of bearing the brunt of it, unfortunately.
So we're still, again, like I said earlier, we're still moving ahead, submitting phase 2 at the end of June. With the review time we're seeing right now, we'll anticipate that we'll have a 4 to 5 months of review before we bid. Looking to bid phase 2 November, December. I'm gonna pass it over to Scott to talk about what things may be impacted by not only the review time, but lead time items as well.
So we're still taking our plan for SED submission. The uncontrollable is how long SED takes to approve, comments back, things of that nature. We're still going to go through and do the things that we can do in the meantime, estimates, pricing, talking to vendors, any opportunity that we can get with manufacturing ahead of time, state contracts. So there's a lot of procurement methods that may be open to us in the next couple of months, but there's not much we can do without SED approval. That being said, we just wanted to make sure that everybody understood kind of what the upcoming couple of year timelines are going to be and how that affects the change. Mostly the longer lead times, which would be the mechanical units, the boilers and the rooftop units, which right now are in the 10 to 12 plus months. So if we submit and get approval for phase 2 work, which was supposed to be summer of 2024, and we put our orders in March of 2024, we're not seeing them till March of 2025. So obviously they're not 2024 scope. That's probably the biggest shot there is some of the mechanical work. So what it takes is once we get phase 1 back, which is work in the mostly the elementary school, there's a little bit of work in site work, fencing, sidewalks, things of that nature. I'll talk about that in a second, but the predominant is a lot of the abatement work, classroom work, and electrical work at the elementary school. Obviously, if we get the approvals back in June, we go out to bid in July, we have the bidding strategy contractors are in the middle of doing what they do for schools and they're busy. We might not have the benefit of the best pricing, the best opportunities with the available contractors out there because they're not going to take us seriously. Secondly, it's the procurement items. In addition to some of the mechanical equipment, electrical lead times, lights and panels, switch gear, they're 4 to 10 months. So they're not going to show up for the summer either. So we would like to take advantage and bid the mechanical or the electrical work this fall, this summer into fall, advertise late August, do a bid in September, so they have that time to procure, so they're ready for 2024. Stuff like abatement, VCT, which is floor tiles, ceiling tiles, all that stuff is regular commodities. That shouldn't be any lead time issues. We'd incorporate that into summer 2024, but we wouldn't bid that work till later this year. So when you take a step back, we are looking like we're going to bid all the work for the entire capital project in multiple phases and packages this calendar year, but the work, instead of being in 24 and 25, it's really going to be 24, 25, and 26.
When these things get bid, because usually you'd say, all right, they got to meet a spec and now we're going to choose the lowest bidder. But is delivery of the materials, could that be part of the bid process? So, in other words, let's say we're going to get a Honeywell heater for the elementary school, and that comes in at the lowest price, but it's going to take a year. But then the second lowest contractor has a different brand, a little more expensive, but they can get it to us in 6 months. Can we go with that second to lowest bidder based upon time of procurement?
So what we end up doing in our award qualification process is evaluate the numbers that are coming in, whether it's low bid, second bid, qualifications, material substitutes. We're basically interviewing a numerous amount of parties, right? And the intent is
a lot of which are familiar to you, though.
Yeah. So we're trying to draw out that information and figure out what situation we're talking to. Part of that is to get ahead, and if we need to bring to the board certain manufacturing requirements for us to sole source or select. That's a lot of the homework that we'll be doing before we get to that point. That's an opportunity that we need to see before we bid.
Okay. Doesn't answer the question, but I understand it's a complex process.
So to answer your question, Mike, no, you can't do that.
Thank you.
So it's simple. It's open protocol.
That's why you're here, Lou.
You
I appreciate
it.
it. Okay.
So it's
Simple answer.
state contract. Let's go to the state contract. If you want to buy the equipment that you want, let's get it in order.
As soon as you accept that bid,
That's right.
you're on that.
It's open. You cannot select somebody because they got a better delivery schedule. Yeah.
So what we're looking at, so phase one and a combination of phase two work in 2024 at the elementary school, which was predominantly a lot of the phase one work will be classrooms, electrical installation, ceiling tiles, exterior classroom, fencing and exterior work. High school scope, which was lockers, classrooms, offices, food service principals, and a lot of abatement, right? Stuff that you just don't want to entertain during the school year. And then the middle school had a lot of exterior masonry repairs and an upgrade to their PA and bell system, as well as a variety of water, domestic, and sanitary throughout the building and the bus garage. So a lot of that was a combination of 23 and 24. Where you get into the 25 is those longer lead items, which would be procured via contract in 2024, but they wouldn't be ready for installation until the summer of 25. Which would be the boilers at all three schools, various heating, ventilation, and air conditioning at all three schools, and then the generator.
Scott, you're looking to bid those items at the end of this year.
The end of this year.
With installation and work done 2 years later in the summer of 25.
24, 25.
24 would predominantly in the mechanical realm would be.
That was the 25 summer.
Yep, the 24 would be the procurement period. So by the time we awarded, got submittals and products approved, January, February range based on our estimate, in 10 to 12 months, you're not seeing that stuff till the winter of 24, early 25. So we'd have it in hand for 25, but not available to us to do obviously in 24 and.
Okay.
I didn't, and it might be in the HVAC, the elementary, all those drains and all that pipe work, are we replacing all that pipe? When we walk there, is that in this scope?
Middle school, you're replacing.
Middle school.
Middle school.
Middle school is domestic and.
Not those pipes running through the gym in the elementary school?
Roof drains are being dealt with in the elementary school gym.
Okay, that was a separate
Yeah, they
issue
look
on
similar to that.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
they
right,
look like
okay.
that.
Scott, you said, we had that long lead time and we finally were able to procure the equipment, but still not do the work for X amount of months, correct? At that point in time, we could pay the contractor for that because they procured it, correct? And we would be responsible for storing it if we.
There are various options, depending on the conditions things to be stored in, liability. We talk about that with the team. Obviously, we want to pay for that stored material, so it's ours. Then there's a whole procedure to make that the property of the districts, whether that be remote or here. All that stuff is done on a equipment by equipment basis.
Right, pictures, insurance, that whole thing.
Lien waivers, and we don't want to, take a bunch of mechanical unit in the back and.
And we have to talk about warranty implications as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And are there additional costs to do all that?
All that is worked through the bidding process. So we pretty much outline our expectations, right? And that's what they would bid to. So it's conversations leading up to the numbers that they would give us.
Can we go back to the page before it had the listing by building? I just want to make sure administration, because if you forget this, and I think there's some new faces in the crowd. So that elementary scope and middle school scope, and that's exciting. PA speaker and bell system, IP or traditional replacement of what's there? middle school.
The intent was to replace what's there. That's another thing that can come up. That's another thing we can do off a contract too. That's something we can have lined up as soon as we get SED approval. We can get going on that.
That's an
We don't have to
exciting
bid that out.
technology to
Bid that out.
replace. How many times a day do you use that? Sure. Cool. Thank you.
And we just want to hit on some phase 2 updates, but if anybody has any questions, just chime in.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about where we are with phase 2 as we push for our deadline at the end of June. So last couple weeks we've been meeting with a lot of the end users, a lot of the admin in the district. The athletics folks we met with a couple weeks ago to talk about the turf field, running track, the bleachers, press box, concession stand. So we've been going over some concepts for line striping for the turf field, concepts for logos and colors and lettering for the turf field, going over what kind of events we want to include in the track, which includes steeplechase. We're looking into potentially relocating the long jump and triple jump within inside the track in one of the D zones. The D zones is the D-shaped area behind the end zone, between the end zone and the track. So that was another option we're looking into. Bleachers, the intent is to expand the bleachers up the hill, up to the existing press box to kind of double the capacity. With that, we'd have to take down the existing press box, but we were replacing that with new. A new press box is a 30 by 8 building with space for broadcasting and then home away, with a rooftop area for camera work. That will marry up to the bleachers. We won't have direct access from the bleachers to the concession stand to prevent people from going back and forth, but the access to the press box would be from behind the building on top of the hill. Concession stand, we recently did the analysis of what we'll be needing for the toileting building as part of the concession stand building. Looks like we have one gender neutral toilet room. In the male bathroom, we'd have 2 urinals, 2 water closets, and 2 sinks. And in the female bathroom, 7 water closets and 4 sinks. So that would go into the design of the septic system, as well as in the concession stand area, we're providing power for kitchen equipment, and we're providing hand washing sink and prep sinks. The intent of the concession stand building is to be a 3-season building. It'll be drained down in the winter, and be tempered during the other 3 seasons. So not full heating, but there'll be outlets for electric heaters in there. It'll provide enough power to support that. Lastly, we met with the elementary school staff regarding the outdoor classroom structure that will be located somewhat near the playground. It's going to be a 20 by 34 pre-engineered kit with steel structure, a metal roof, and the intent is to put some lights, some power, some data connectivity in there. Also a main disconnect switch from the building, so you can shut that area down when needed. Other meetings we've had with food services, the principals at the high school, to go over their renovations, as well as meeting with facilities maintenance to go over where we're thinking about putting the big mechanical equipment, whether that's on the roof in fan rooms or else, other areas, and where utilities will get pulled from to get to this location. So the intent is to keep going with this and to present a design development review with the district first week in May, where we go over where our concepts are at that point.
Yeah, going back to the concession stand, for the support service, are you entertaining the option to add a storage section to that?
We are, yes, yeah. So we looked at that today.
We looked at that today.
Yeah, Tom and I had the conversation today. So yeah, we're looking at where that would be best suited. We kind of do want to make sure it's accessible from the parking lot area, because we do want to have an overhead door in case you do drive a truck or anything in there. So we want to put it on the back. We want to make sure it's accessible, so we'll be able to need that. But yes, we are looking to that as an option.
And did you say for the concession stand that we need a separate septic system for that?
So there'll be
we're going to tie into our existing.
It'll tie into the existing. So the intent, we'll have a storage tank at the building, and then we'll likely have to pump to an existing line, which right now we're looking at the line that's coming out of the locker room and runs along the parking lot back to the cafeteria, which will eventually runs back to the
You have to pump. There's not gravity?
The slope is, we're looking right now, looking at the inverts, the slope isn't enough to get the gravity fed all the way. It's like a 3% slope, we went 5.
God forbid you have some settling here and there. Better that it's mechanical.
Yeah. it's not gonna be a big pump because we're only we're making the difference between like 3 and 5%. But 3 isn't enough to get us there efficiently.
That'll be accessible in some kind of hatch or something there in the
Yes.
driveway area.
Regarding the delays that we're seeing just in terms of getting the approvals, are there any other costs or any other effects of that that we should be aware of and thinking through? Obviously, cost of products, cost of services, obviously we know they fluctuate, but is there anything else that you guys are aware of that we should be thinking through?
We're thinking about it all. One, add it to this that if we do get the design development submitted to SED by the end of June, we will have basically a full project estimate by the time we go up to bid, and then if we need to do something architecturally wise, design wise, or as a group, we'll be able to refocus and see where the holes are to plug.
Nothing else?
Because of the delays in moving the project forward to 25, 26 possibly, is there any other cost ramifications from the design team that you can see moving it forward from the management end or the design end?
I don't see anything.
Excuse me, Tom.
I don't see any from the design. We're gonna adjust our schedules accordingly. I mean, obviously, if we're not supporting construction this summer, we're gonna support it in the subsequent summer.
Yeah. Anything, Lou, from the management end of it?
No, I think that if construction is pushed, our management on site gets pushed. On the pre-con side, if we do decide to award contracts early, we can really figure out and work within our fee to sort of manage that, because it's really just the only reason to go ahead with buying any mechanical equipment, electrical equipment is procurement. It's to get in line, and so that that's not a heavy lift.
So phase 2 currently looks like that's going to go into 2026.
So phase 1 and the field of phase 2 will be 24, and the mechanical equipment will be 25.
Field will be 24.
Correct.
Field, the concession stand, and the bleachers will all be 24.
Yeah, right now, if we can get out the bid by the end of this year, the fields, when you look at the carpet, the rubber, you look at the concession, you really want to get into the submittal and approval so that you're in line by January of 2024, and you'll get the product. Right now, aluminum, the bleachers, that's been our hardest fight. So you want to get the bleachers in line. The press box, you want to get that in line, so that press box, I don't know, that becomes its own building. Yeah. So we want to really get that in line, and the concession building, if it's masonry or stick built,
right,
that's straightforward. We shouldn't have a problem there.
Well, would the procurement of the bleachers and press box delay the work on the field and track?
No. What would happen is, so when you look at the build, ideally, because you're set into that hill, ideally what you want to do, you want to get the foundations in place, do the picks, and then back out. So we really have to look at that. In theory, you can do the field, but now you're trying to pick from the top side, with your, in particular, the press box. Right. The bleachers should be able to be built without any issue.
Yeah, but
so just to answer my question, you would want the bleachers and press box installed prior to field work.
You would.
So bidding it in January, are you going to be able to procure the bleachers for 4 to 6 months?
So the idea there, and what we've been doing with all of our athletic field products, go out to state contract with the bleachers, with the press box, So you're not waiting to bid it under the site contract, so.
Right.
And you know, as soon as you get SED approval, in theory, you've already shopped it with the state contractor. So as soon as you get SED approval, a PO is written and we're out, and that's it.
So you're looking for that SED approval with submission the end of June by October 1, hopefully. If it goes any later than that, you might not procure the bleachers and press box for spring.
Well, by November 1.
November 1.
Yeah, not October 1, November 1. We want to give ourselves 4 months. Now, we're hoping that this federal spend starts to peel off, because now we're getting up against anyone who puts a project in that late. It's probably not going to be successful to get done by September of 24 regardless. So we're going to see those projects wane off, and I'm hoping that the queue will start to regularize. Unfortunately, as everyone hopefully understands, that third-party reviews were removed by SED. So we have no more third-party reviews, which was hopefully, trying to reduce the queue down and take some of the relief off. But SED has now, eliminated that from an option. So frustrating.
When
Only because, we sold the project to the community based on certain timelines. And I know, we're governed by what SED says, but we want to be sure moving forward that now we give them information that's quite accurate. Otherwise, we're going to have, more than 30 people sitting in this room at following meetings that are going to scream and yell and say, you promised us this, that, and the other thing, and it's not coming to fruition. So
yeah, but
we need to.
The process is not entirely ours, Al. It's got to go through the state review, just like any municipality.
I think right there, communication is the most important. We need to communicate.
the communication.
Educate the community about
We as a support service has not got that. We did not get that information prior. So it's not a point of now saying that it's SED's fault. It's a combination. We didn't go to expedited review, which I think the board wanted to move in that direction, but unfortunately we didn't go that route. And for whatever reason, I don't know. We weren't given that reason.
Well, and I'm not sure. We haven't experienced that expedited review has really expedited anything.
Understood, but that wasn't, Tom, that's not what was presented to the support service initially. Initially, everybody was on board with going with expedited review. Unfortunately, it didn't come back to the support service saying that we elected as a team not to go that route.
Yeah. I think we've relied on the education department, who updates their site regularly, to present a realistic depiction of how long the queue is, and that hasn't met reality.
Understood.
Not even close. The expedited reviews, we've actually had in many cases that take longer than just getting a review through the normal.
I don't know. I'm okay not going out to bid in June, because everybody's got work through the fall anyway, and they start lopping out these crazy prices.
Still, as a board, we still have to present to the community if we have cost overruns and we have to pull back items from our original scope. We got to be able to tell the community why that happened. It has nothing to do with, yeah, I understand. I agree with you wholeheartedly. We're not going to bid in June because there's so much work out there right now, schoolwork. But if this gets pushed out into 25, 26, we have to be able to answer to the community why we're pulling items out of the original scope. That's all.
And Al, to your point, I think what we're trying to do, the strategy is picking pieces out to try to really control those costs. In particular on the athletic fields, again, we're gonna pull the carpet out, we're gonna pull the rubber out, we're gonna pull the bleachers out, we're gonna pull the press box out. All of those things you already have great lighting, not an issue there. The concession, its own bid. So we're trying to dissect this thing. Mechanical side, same thing, right? If we can buy some mechanical equipment and we're getting a good a buy on state contract, let's do that. Now the contractor's not guessing, right? He's not trying to figure out how much that buy is going to be a year from now. So we're trying to do that. So I have more anxiety about it than anybody, but yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, it's tough.
You have more, or is that?
No, that was it.
Okay. At some point in time, could you give the board an update on your design of the field itself, as far as what colors we're looking to go for in the carpet, what colors we're looking to go for in the track, just so the entire board, I don't want that decision to be based just on the support service or the administrators. I want the whole board to have an input on color schemes and such. All right, so the community knows that we as a group have selected those items. So.
Do you want to review the concession building as well? The concession building as well?
Well, I mean, at some point in time, if you have,
if
you have, some designs, some elevations that you can show us.
Absolutely. So I'd rather just give it to you as a package. We can certainly do that.
Well, I think a presentation like this is more beneficial to some of the lay people on the board.
Sure.
A package is kind of difficult for,
No, we can present it like this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it's going to be beautiful.
Anybody have any questions?
Do you want to set a date for that?
Sure. What are they comfortable with as far as presenting?
How soon can you do that type of a presentation?
They have it ready for next month.
Okay.
Do it for the board next month.
May 2nd?
This one.
Leave it open. Yeah. First or second meeting.
Either the May 2nd or the 16th. The 16th is a little bit tricky because we need to be done by 9.
I would prefer to actually the May 2nd. I know that's only a couple of weeks away, but I think we're set now.
And that will actually be an earlier meeting. We will do our community forum starting at 6 p.m. and we'll go right into the board meeting, so it'll be a little bit earlier.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Great.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you all for coming. Good to see you.
All right, moving forward under our consent agenda, we're going to take items FA to D6. So if there's anything in there that you'd like to pull out, let us know. If there's any clarification you need, let us know. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to move consent items from FA to D6. Motion by Camille, second by Tom. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, back up. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 6-0.
So the only thing I would like to just publicly thank is our business office and Lindsay for the work that they did in finalizing the cost reports on that $17.5 million project. That was a huge number of hours that they put in, along with all the other work that they've been doing recently. And that's nice that that has all calculated out, and we now can put that project to bed, which is...
That project is completed.
So,
that's a nice
Lindsay, thank you so much.
Any recognitions here?
I don't believe there's any recognitions. Anyone that was hired this evening is not here. There's only one, I believe. Okay, we're good.
Okay. Under curriculum and instructions, our principal's monthly report. Elementary school.
I don't know, you switch it up every once in a while, so I don't get up really immediately. So I was like, you know what, I'll see what he says. Two things that well, actually 3 things, because I feel like I'm left out. So I do have a handout for you guys. You know, I kind of want to jump on the bandwagon. Fear of missing out, I guess. 2 things though that's not on my board report was I just want to I know it's something that's been around for a really long time, but I think we should bring it back to light. It's been established many years before I was there, and it's been there for a long time ago. Mr. Freer probably is the one that brought it. But anyways, what I was really impressed with is Rebecca Hauser from DEC. She comes in and she does this huge Hudson River ecology and everything else, and so all the stuff that she brings in is really kind of cool. And I was just impressed that it's been going on year after year and year, and we sometimes forget about those things that have gone on and are really cool. So I just wanted to bring that back up, and I don't think that it was something that should be typed. It should be something that was brought to you guys, that I really thought was really cool. And then obviously, poked in and saw some junior achievement financial literacy lessons, and and again, little guys learning about, getting things situated and thinking about that early on is really kind of cool. So, thank you guys for, continuing to support that program. And then, here we go. And then our last, the handout, I'll go this way.
You're really switching it up.
Yeah, hey, listen. So on, coming up, we have, a Spirit Day celebration, and it's going to be in May, and it's May the 4th be with you. So just so that you guys know, that is a thing at the elementary building, and there's the flyer. So I got myself in the flyer situation. So you guys have any?
Just trying to keep up with Megan.
Yeah, listen, I'm not keeping up with her. I'm just trying to get in a little bit in. Yes.
Do you have the socks for May the 4th?
Well, so
Very basic, isn't he?
there are socks. There are socks for it. However, it might be another level above the socks. I'll put it that way. So there are. There might be a suit that is a stormtrooper.
Stop there.
It might be a pink.
Very cool.
There's no regrets for hiring me from this region.
Just to round this out, I appreciate that you brought in IBM to talk about occupations, and that seems to be a theme that really, I think, Al, you wanted to bring back to the buildings, and they're all kind of doing something different, but we do notice that. So just wanted to mention that in your report. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Thank you. Megan?
I will start with I do not have a flyer this evening, so Ian wins the battle on the flyer. Just so everyone's aware. I don't have anything to add except for the fact I wanted to give a shout out to my guidance department. They have been working tirelessly for the beginning of our ELA exams tomorrow, and they definitely deserve a shout out with all their organization and just getting everything ready. It's a hurdle, and they've done it, and we are ready for tomorrow. So I just wanted to say congratulations and good job to them, because they definitely deserve it. That's all I have to add.
Any questions for Megan?
Just wishing luck to all the students on their assessments and teachers, and it's just that time of year.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Murphy?
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple of add-ons to the monthly report. Just as a reminder, it's already in the report, AP exams are coming up starting on May 1st, so it's a very busy season for us. Mr. Obitz is looking very forward to managing the AP exams. Going in full force, yes. Last night, we had the Brooks barbecue, very successful. Their numbers were increased from last year up to 450 dinners sold last night. I saw many of you there, so thank you for your support with our PTSA, working very hard on that. I want to give them a shout out. And also, April 25th, next week, for the college fair, we've changed it up a little bit this year, and we're adding the trades industry as well. So between colleges and trade, we've got about 50 vendors coming to represent. They'll be here from 9:30 to 11, presenting for students.
What's the date?
April 25th, 9:30 to 11. You're more than welcome to come check it out.
Is there a list of the colleges and trade schools that will be there?
There absolutely is, and I will email that to you first thing tomorrow morning.
Any other questions?
Are you coming to?
I don't know, that's why I'm curious to see if there's some information. If not, I'll be there. I'll work that out, yeah. I mean, there should somebody be there from my area.
Yeah, I'll make sure that I email that to the board tomorrow morning.
Any other questions for Mr. Murphy?
High school's looking good.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, directors. Anyone have any questions for our directors? We have pretty much all of them sitting here this evening. If you have any questions or concerns for our directors, you can shout it out.
I have just one, I believe it was on transportation's report, there was a comment about I want to say it's SEON, S-E-O-N, camera and GPS system. Just wanted to inquire on information of what that is.
Good evening, everybody. SEON is our camera system and GPS that they provide in each one of the buses, and they're all up and running.
Okay,
Last
so-
bus is our last one that came in that needs to be installed, which is tomorrow. Bus
Okay.
213 that just came in.
So is that for new buses?
That has been for all of our buses.
Okay. But they've had them for a little while,
Yes,
right?
we've had.
Okay.
Since before me, so it's
Right,
been over
okay.
6 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other
Kathy had-
questions?
Go ahead. Kathy, had the construction on Tilson Avenue, Vineyard Avenue, and Talk, has that really impacted
Not
pickups
yet.
and deliveries? No?
Not yet. They pushed it back another week, but we are prepared. And again, the key was communicating with the community, with the help of everybody with social media and school. So we're very thankful for that.
Anyone else?
I had a couple of questions. One was on John's report, food service, talking about just the breakfast participation. 16% does seem very low. We know that obviously there's no more free breakfast anymore, and they pay for that. But I'm just curious. I mean, are we looking at menu choice and those types of things? What does breakfast entail?
I mean, I think it's basically the free meals. We used to do, I think it was 350 at the elementary school, so we're down to about 70.
I think the other big thing, right, is they're no longer doing them in the classroom.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's a big,
I see.
potentially a change as well.
That's true. That is a major change.
It might be a good comparison to look at it pre-COVID to see where we were pre-COVID. I mean, I know during COVID, just my own personal experience, my kids were eating breakfast 3 times before, and then having snack before lunch. So I mean,
They do
you know,
grab and go, like whether it's the house.
especially when it's in and when it's in the classroom.
All right, I
it's
just,
right
you
there.
know, that was low. Karen, looking at your report, I do see a lot, and maybe this isn't a Karen Brooks question, it might be instruction. I see a lot of K-5, 6, 8, 9, 12 discussions, but are we meeting systemically K to 12? Because we did talk about, obviously we talk about alignment, horizontal alignment, and then there were some discussions about vertical alignment. And I don't know, is it the instructional council meeting K-12, or is that not where we went this year?
That's not the approach this year. It's more of an individual basis.
Which makes sense coming out of COVID
Right.
and kind of regathering as a building, and was just curious on what
meeting with.
You can't get vertical alignment without getting everybody in the same room.
Right.
So if that's not the focus now, where
Which
are
sometimes on superintendent's conference days, depending on the department, we're able to do that. Absolutely. But as far as a monthly basis, it's not a K-12 together. It's meeting with departments and grade levels as needed.
Okay.
We do look at the data too. We do look at the data vertically and
That's at
horizontally.
this
It's not
moment in
together.
time?
Yes.
You do.
Yeah.
When do you
Always.
project we get back to that vertical?
When as needed. We could look to move forward to that.
There's no defined goal in place yet?
Not at the moment.
Well, you're about to embark on your assessments for 2023, so they're probably, that's valuable data as to where did everybody end up at the end of this year. And moving forward, I think only because we talked about or heard about the alignment, horizontal, vertical, and the board was just having some discussions about those types of things and what we're seeing in reports. So thank you both.
Okay, any other questions or concerns for our directors? I won't skip you this time, Tom. You're up.
Good evening, everybody. Starting off with the elementary school, Mrs. Richter's 5th grade students took the information they've been writing down each day since the first day of school in their memory book and wrote a story about themselves. Mrs. Sina, the TA, printed the books in color and bound them to make mini books, so a big shout out goes to her. The 5th grade students then visited Mrs. Compain's kindergarten and Mrs. Canino's 1st grade classrooms to read their memory books to younger students. This was a wonderful learning opportunity that fostered socialization among peers and also reinforced students' confidence in themselves as writers. Moving on to the middle school. Spring sports are in full swing and the modified teams are off to a great start. Next Wednesday, Mr. Conklin's multicultural cooking class will be visiting the Culinary Institute to learn more about the college's programs and to tour the campus. Students who attend will also be getting a food tasting as part of their tour. Yeah, jealous about that. This past Friday, April 14th, the Highland Middle School French students attended a presentation with guest speaker Nawal Ait-Lagri, well, I think I butchered that, but that's okay, who is originally from Morocco as part of Mrs. Geiger's Culture Fridays program. This was the last guest speaker for the Culture Fridays program for the year, and the students really enjoyed learning more about Moroccan culture. And then moving on to the high school. This Friday is the junior-senior prom located at the Chateau in Kingston at 6 p.m. Earlier that day, the high school SAD Club, which stands for Students Against Destructive Decisions, will be presenting a mock car crash to talk about the dangers of distracted driving, especially on prom night. Spring sports are also in full swing, and some notable achievements have been made by our varsity boys baseball team. So far, they've defeated the defending Class C state champions of Spackenkill and the Class D defending state champions of Chapel Field. So great job to them. This Thursday, former NFL athlete and motivational speaker Shamil Gary will be coming in to speak to students. He played for the Buffalo Bills, New England Patriots, Miami Dolphins, and the Chicago Bears, and he has now dedicated himself to going around to inspire students to push through obstacles throughout life and to set realistic and attainable goals for themselves. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I had one question. How was that Brooks Barbecue fundraiser?
Oh, that was really good.
Yes, it was really good.
Good. I ate mine and then half of my little brother's.
I saw some pieces missing out of mine.
He was looking for a piece of corn. You took it.
Scrawniest chicken.
You need to buy one extra for the family.
Yeah.
Maybe
more than boys.
Okay. Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Pupil Personnel.
Hi, everybody. So a continuation of our annual review meetings, not quite the amount we had last month, but another close to 70 meetings that we've held over the last few weeks, and even with spring break. So at this point, the majority of the annual reviews have been held, but we still have some that we will continue to finalize, and then we will hold the end of our preschool meetings, and then our students that are transitioning in from preschool to kindergarten. As part of that, we do some site visits to the local preschools to see the students in combination with the time that we bring them in on May 5th as part of our kindergarten screening. So we spend part of the day getting to know some of our newest students, and we do some site visits to see them in the environment that they're comfortable in as well. We do know that they're coming into a big new school on a day with some unfamiliar faces on kindergarten screening, so we take that into account. So we want to see them in their comfort level as well. So we can be prepared for them come September.
As long as there's no stormtrooper there that day.
It'll be the day before. You'll have to get rid of that one. Planning for our summer programming for our 12-month students. Getting ready for that. We'll be coordinating with transportation, just so we're squared away with that. To echo Ms. Coburn, I do want to thank all of our staff as we get ready for our state testing starting tomorrow. a lot, as she mentioned, a lot of planning goes into this and a lot of flexibility and coordination, especially with our students requiring accommodations. So big thank you to all of our staff with their flexibility and their scheduling and working to cover everybody to make sure that we have all those accommodations in place for our students. We're finishing up our third quarter, so our third quarter progress reports will be finalized next week, and we've also been receiving our third quarter homeschool reports, so we review those as they come in. They're kind of on a rolling basis around this time. And then finally, over the next week or so, I'll be working with Ms. Idell and her staff to finalize our BOCES FSR prior to May 1st.
Any questions? Thank you, Dr. Boyd. Mr. Zimmer, Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction.
Good evening, everyone. I have 2 items from our report tonight. First, I thought I'd give you an update on our pool of current substitutes. Currently, we seem to be doing well, and we're in much better shape than we have been in the past couple of years regarding access to substitutes in our pool. Since the beginning of this school year, I have interviewed and hired 35 applicants to be substitutes in our district. As a result, our schools are not finding it as difficult to get coverage as it once was, which is good news. Is that true, Mrs. Ingraham? Sorry to put you on the spot. We're in better shape than we were in the past, though. Update about UPK. As of about 2 hours ago, we have 64 applicants for our UPK program that's slated to start in September. To reiterate what I said at our last meeting, we will be working with 3 local agencies next year, Learning Together, Stepping Stones at the Park, and Joyful Moments. For anyone interested in registering their child, the application is on the district website, or hard copies can be picked up between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. in the district office. Students need to turn 4 years old by December 1st of this next December 1st and live in our school district. Applications will be accepted until next Friday, April 28th. We will be able to offer 40 seats, and the random selection lottery process will occur during the first week of May.
Any questions?
Just a question about computer-based testing. So next year we have to, like the state mandated that we have, all schools have to be computer-based testing for grades 5 and 8. So just curious about how ready we are to embark upon that, not just with the infrastructure, but also making sure our kids know how to take a test on a computer.
We are ready. We will be ready. We as a district decided, I think even before I was in this position, that we weren't going to jump at it before we were prepared to do it. So we were planning on waiting until next year to do it. I do believe that there's some field tests going on this year that are computer-based, which will help in our district, which will help prepare students for it. So we opted into that one to help guide us there. So next year we'll be ready to go.
Our students taking the STAR too, K through 8, has prepared them a little bit more about taking some of these assessment type work on digital platform.
Do all of our surrounding neighbors do?
No, the last I actually took a poll at my last IAC meeting, and 2 or 3 in the county, as I understand. I don't remember right now who it was, but there are some surrounding districts that do it, but many held off and waiting the same reason as we are.
Just sharing for both of you, and a big thank you. I think Mr. Fear was sharing some of the details of what went into getting our pre-K program up and running. And we know you were very instrumental in that. And that it's a lot of work both on the school side, but also on the agency side, those providing those seats. So I just wanted to say thank you both, and look forward to offering parents that new service going into the next year. So thank you.
Okay, thanks. Superintendent?
All right, so one thing, I'm actually going to talk about pre-K for a second, because I think it's very important that folks realize that this is not money from our general budget that is funding this. This is only money that gets reimbursed as we put it out. So we will be putting that money out from our budget, but then getting it reimbursed to us within the next month. So yes, it is fronting it, but it's comes back to us. It is not something that is in our general budget. I just want that to be clear so that folks know that, we didn't have a pot of money sitting there waiting for this to happen. You only get it if you offer the program. So with that said, I just want to thank the Highland Education Foundation for the incredible job that they did this weekend in running probably one of the most successful dinners I think that we've had in a while. We are able to fund 9 teacher grants, which were posted there for the community, for the folks that were in attendance to see. At the point that we put those grants up there, we didn't know exactly how much money would be raised. So now the committee will get together and determine how much money can go to each of those grants. And I think that was a nice way of putting it out there so that folks knew what the event was actually all about. The other part of that is to welcome our 3 new Hall of Fame inductees. Their poster is now been put up on the wall in the back. So we have Carl Relier and Paul Hansett as our alumni recipients, and Angela Greco as our Husky Pride winner. So they were, that was just a very nice night. The speeches were shorter than they've been in the past few years, which was nice, so that we could use the evening to socialize and quite honestly raise money. So those auction items, I want to thank the community, everyone that donated in any capacity to that function. That was really a wonderful part of the event. So I do have some subtotals here. $11,100 was raised on the event itself. $2,276 was raised on the bike raffle. I bought 8 tickets and did not win the bike. I kept saying that all night at the event. So
you're gonna pick up biking if you won that bike.
I know I have a bike, but this was a nicer bike. So for a total of $13,376, which is one of our, better amounts. The other thing is Ricky Auchmoody donated the site at Indian Ridge, which is a huge ask. So he needs to be commended for that. We thanked him at the event, but then he came up while I was getting ready to introduce one of the last speakers and handed me another donation check of $500. So he really went out of his way, gave us his venue, and it was an incredible event. So hopefully folks will consider coming out next year. I believe it will be April 13th, I think is what we decided, of 2024. Okay.
I think I'll say it all deserves a round of applause, not the money, but the spirit of community that goes into it and our inductees.
So on April 13th, I attended the Ulster County School Board's meeting. Our BOCES culinary students provided dinner. All of the superintendents and many administrators and board members from across the county were in attendance, and BOCES district superintendent presented their BOCES budget, which we'll be approving this evening. So instead of having that extra meeting that we usually have on a Wednesday where we have to come in, they put it on a Tuesday so that we could do it during our regular meeting. Just a reminder, we will be honoring Holly Brooker on Thursday, May 25th in Kingston as our Distinguished Friend of Education. So board members, please consider possibly coming to that. I think that would be a nice event to thank Holly for. She not only was instrumental in getting all the literature out about our building project, but she heads up the PR department at BOCES and gets, anytime there needs to be a letter that goes out. For instance, the letter that I had to send out, unfortunately, over the weekend, she was instrumental in helping to get that letter formulated. She also does our budget newsletter along with Jessica Murray. So she's really been an asset to our district. Her daughter's a senior this year. I told her she's not allowed to leave us just because her daughter is going off to college, and she promised that she would stick around. And she's just been a great asset to our district.
I have committed to that event, just letting you know.
So
great. This past weekend, the High school hosted the school play of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. We were able to stop in at the dress rehearsal, and the kids did an incredible job, and I hear the other two performances were just as nice. The dress rehearsal is not a largely attended because that's them getting it together, but the kids did an incredible job even during the dress rehearsal, so kudos to them and to the department. We've already talked about it. The New York State assessments start tomorrow in grades 3 through 8 for ELA. Taki already said something about the prom, so I'll skip over that. But I wish you guys a very successful prom, and take that message of distracted driving and make sure that we are all doing the right thing. Please pass that on. And then last Friday, I attended the Ulster County Emergency Management Session. All the superintendents in Ulster County got together at the Ulster County Law Enforcement Center, which is a fancy word for the Ulster County Jail. It's a very frightening place. Don't go through the wrong door. But topics of discussion at that at the event, which was community we had our local town police were there, and Everett Erickson, who's head of the emergency management team in Ulster County, swatting calls, which I know I've put a message out about that, and threat responses. So, it's nice to hear how folks are dealing with some of these unfortunate things that are happening across schools, not just here in the Hudson Valley, but across the United States. So there will be another session coming up with with another element of that coming up in the next month, and Bill and I will both be attending.
Any questions for the superintendent? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Board of Education new business. BOCES administrative budget vote. Be resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, approves the Ulster County Board of Cooperative Educational Services administrative budget in the amount of $6,718,295. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Heather, second by Janine. Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. BOCES ballot for election. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, recommends the election of the following candidates to serve in the Board of Cooperative Educational Services. Seat number 1, Ellenville, Marla Kaplan. Seat number 2, Saugerties, Krista Barringer. Seat number 3, Roundout Valley, no nomination. Seat number 4, at large, Christopher Farrell. Seat number 5, at large, Donald Green. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Camille, second by Heather. Discussion?
What
What do they do?
Yeah.
Same question.
What do they do with the no nomination?
Yeah.
I believe they're allowed to appoint at that point. So I don't know the answer to that, but I can definitely find out.
I'd like to put someone from Highland in that seat. Not necessarily up here, but
that's a possibility.
Anybody interested in a seat on the Ulster School Board?
He's running out the door.
No, it happens when
Who
you're
was
not
that?
somewhere.
I nominate Kevin Rizzo.
Can
you come back?
Anyway, all right,
I
just
can
something to
look
think
into
about.
I can look into that
people,
to find
yeah.
out. I think that the Ulster board itself then nominates somebody that they're aware of, but if we have names, we can definitely forward that on. I know Sue Gilmore had mentioned that years
Yeah.
ago, but those were at large.
Somebody that-
Those were the at large seats. It wasn't the one specific to a school district. So.
Okay.
Please send the information when you find out.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Holding service agreement, Highland Central School District and Ulster County Board of Elections. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, based upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the attached polling service agreement between Highland Central School District and the Ulster County Board of Elections for the annual meeting, which is take place on May 16th, 2023. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Tom, second by Janine. Discussion?
Is this electronic polling, or are we still doing poll books?
We're electronic, yeah.
It's all electronic?
We're not using the iPads, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
And we're doing it the full books, but we're using
Is there a
scanner
cost
book.
difference?
Scanning.
Oh, right, okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah. Pretty cheap. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Budget proposition for the 2023-2024 school year. Be it resolved, the Highland Central School District adopts the proposed 2023-2024 school budget in the amount of $52,476,480 to present to the voters at the annual meeting on May 16th, 2023, and approves the following proposition. Shall the Board of Education of the Highland Central School District be authorized to expend for budgetary purposes in the 2023-2024 school year the sum of $52,476,480 and to levy the necessary tax thereof. Be it further resolved that the Highland Central School District Board of Education approves the property tax report card and authorizes its submission to the State Education Department. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Camille, seconded by Mike. Lisa, can we do a roll call for this vote, please?
Yes. I'll state your name and you just say yes or no. Heather Welch?
Yeah.
Janine Gemmel?
Yes.
Mike Bakaxias?
Yes.
Camille Adoma?
Yes.
Tom Miller?
Yes.
Alan Barone?
Yes.
That's all approved, 6-0.
Okay. Just a quick comment. I know we said it before, but again, kudos to our business official and her team that put together okay, candidates placement on ballot. The following candidates have met the requirements to run for the Highland School District Board of Education at the annual meeting and election for 2023-2024 school year. Alan Barone, Heather Welch. Be resolved, the Board of Education accepts the following candidates to be placed on the ballot in the following order for the annual meeting and election for the 2023-2024 school year. Alan Barone, Heather Welch. I thought I sent in all the names that weren't eligible.
Sent in the right sheet out.
Yeah. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Camille, second by Mike. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Opposed?
Thank you both.
You're welcome. Old business, public hearing absentee application for ballot. A public hearing to take place May 2nd at 6 p.m. for the annual budget vote and election. This hearing will take place at the high school cafeteria prior to opening meeting of the Board of Education. Application for ballot. Please note that for this upcoming school vote only, the request for application must be received by the district clerk no later than May 9th. If to be mailed, otherwise personally delivered to the clerk no later than May 15th, the day prior to the vote. Applications for ballots as well as for the military are available on the district web page. Agreements for collaborator of activities under the Highland Central School District Universal Pre-Kindergarten Program. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the attached agreements of the Highland Central School District Pre-Kindergarten Program, which is financed under the New York State Education Department in collaboration with Stepping Stones at the Park, Learning Together, Inc., Joyful Moments Childcare LLC. This agreement will take place during the period of July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, and as presented to the board at this meeting. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Janine, second by Heather. Discussion. One question, Bill. Once that expires and for preceding years, if any one of these three or two do not move forward, we have to go out for another RFP to?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And what would happen if nobody responds?
That's a good question. There are some neighboring districts who have that issue.
You can draw a bigger circle.
Yes, exactly. You can go out of district then.
And probably a question I should have asked you before. what are the requirements that hold us to a 40-seat program? What are the parameters for that?
I think what you're asking, it's how
What
much
makes-
the state allots.
Okay.
It's purely a number that
And
the
they
state
base
gives
that
us.
on our
I believe enrollment or projected enrollment. So up until about a month ago, we were able to offer 24 seats, but the state, somewhat within the past couple of months, upped it for next year and almost doubled it. So we were able to offer 40.
It's based on what they tell us their costs are too. So we incorporate how much
Right.
money we have.
The local agencies, right?
Okay.
And how many people they can actually
Accommodate.
Right.
So some of them are able to accommodate more
More.
seats than others, and so that's all factored in. It's
Right.
a whole puzzle.
Okay, we have motion made by Janine, second by Heather. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
That was a long time coming. As a former elementary principal, I'm very happy with that. Well done.
Okay, under miscellaneous, is there anything for good and welfare of the district? Okay, we'll open the meeting up to public comment. This is the public comment section where you can talk about anything you'd like. We're gonna accept the nomination. Oh.
He's accepting the nomination.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Board and Janine Gemmel. On April 6th, we had the Strikeout Cancer fundraiser, amazing community day. She put together a great event. We had, I'd say, 1,000 people from the community there throughout the day. They made $8,900 in donations.
$8,743.40. Don't
There you
ask
go.
me how we got 40 cents. I don't know, but that was the total.
Great community day. Administrators, students, people from the town came out. Food, baseball, all day baseball. At the end of the day, we looked at each other and we were as red as that glass of whatever Mr. Bacatius has on the desk
Don't
there.
ask about the red cup.
From Sunburn. And also with our sports right now, I just also wanted to point out that there's a lot of involvement, and our sports programs from the children on up to the high school, our numbers are at decade highs at this point in baseball, lacrosse. Football just had huge numbers come out. So a lot of our sports programs are feeding into this, and our students are showing up and signing up. So I'm really looking forward as a coach to this wave that we're going to ride out for the next few years. So, but thank you again for that wonderful community day, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment. Need a motion to go back into executive session for contract negotiations. Motion by Camille, seconded by Janine. All those in favor?
Aye.
We will not be reconvening back into public, so everyone can go home. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Oh. Yeah. Good night.